Hello traders and friends, this is my weekend video and I'm going to go over some stuff which I'm seeing in the markets. I am expecting a slightly upside capped next week with maybe a slight bias to the downside probably for most of the next week into probably Friday. So that's my bias. We'll see what happens and we'll go from there. I want to start with Japan here. We broke away from our 8 SMA as of Friday, gap down, and we are testing our 21 SMA right here, this area. So I think we're going to be coming down and retesting these prior lows. It looks like it's already ran out of gas early in the session. France is another ETF that looks like it's rejecting its excuse me 34-week SMA, and we're back down to the 21 SMA. So it looks like a rejection on France to the downside here. Italy's even worse. It closed below last week's lows with a complete engulfing candle. So this is a pretty bearish pattern for Italy. The Spain chart is not quite as bad, but it has broken the 34 or the 21 SMA. So it lends more to the bearish side, reset lower on even on the Spain chart. Canada is on watch here. We did manage to close below the prior week close, so we could have a reversal pattern setting up here. I also have China on watch because we closed right at the opening price of last week in China, and we are below the 21 SMA, suggesting we might be putting a topping pattern here on the Chinese markets too. Now, the reason I bring that up on the bearish side on the global markets, because if I believe if our markets are going to sell off, it's going to have to be a contagion from the global markets. And we're, with everything happening in Europe last week and then seeing a little bit of weakness in Asian stuff, that's where I feel like it's going to lead. Now, I do want to point out we are entering the blockout period for a lot of companies. And April, if you notice right here from a chart back in end of December, January, 1st of January, the anticipated buybacks for next month are going to drop considerably from this month. So that's going to be less money buying shares back this month. And right as of this month, they were buying back about $5 billion a day of stock. And a lot of those buybacks are going to be blocked where they can't do that. Okay. I've made a list here of some of the over the next month, some of the stocks that are going to be reporting, and all of these stocks on this list right here are currently in block back. They are not allowed to buy their shares back. It's about 4 weeks before earnings that the blockout date starts. So you guys may want to familiarize yourselves with this chart here and be aware that none of these stocks will have buyback support for their shares if the markets decide to start to get weak, which I think they will. It'll be sell the pops here in April and tax season, in my opinion. Okay, and especially the financials, because we had horrible financial impact in Europe last week, and now our financials, because of the earnings season coming up, they're all in the blockout uh, period. So there's no real support for financials going into this month. I'm going to give you a list of some stocks that I'm watching for potential entries and stuff. As far as this week's goes, on the bull side, Chipotle Grill, I'm still got it on watch here for a potential move higher. It's I don't have a huge list of bullish ones, but this is one that I'm keeping an eye on here. I'm watching Buffalo Wild Wings here also for a potential move higher. I think it's possibly ready to. I'm watching ALXN, Alexion Pharmaceuticals, for a potential move higher here, based on my technicals. I'm watching Eagle Pharmaceuticals as a potential um, reversion higher. Uh, this one here might be early. I'm keeping an eye on this standard deviation move, and we did have a lower close Friday, so I'm a little bit hesitant. Now, if you do go out in the longer time frames here, I've got it in on watch right here. I don't know if it's ready yet, but we do have a reference low right at this area. So, but just keep that one on your watch. I'm watching Indo here as a potential uh, long setup here. If you look at your standard deviation, we are at prior highs on standard deviation on this chart, and plus all your indicators are well oversold. So I was thinking about selling out of the money puts on that one. I'm also watching Accordia Therapeutics here. We are at relative all-time highs on the standard deviation on this stock for the this sell-off with a reference low we bounced off of last time. So keep a close eye on this. You might be able to sell some put spreads or put spreads on that one and capitalize some money on that. Now the market trend is up, but I do have some possible uh, sell-off or market potential overbought situations on some stocks here that could be really good if this market does sell off this week. So one of my top ones that I like is Charter Communications. And I don't know the news on this and what caused the pop. I just found this on my scans. This is completely and totally technical on most of these charts unless I say otherwise. Okay. But at any rate, your RSI is not quite overbought yet, but I do want to on your weekly. But if you go on your daily here, I was looking at these on a daily basis, and your standard deviation is rolling over, and your indicators are all rolling over, and you do have an overbought situation on your RSI, suggesting that we might start getting a fade here. Okay, and we did cross the, we closed right at our 8 SMA there Thursday. So that looks like a really good candidate, depending on the news that drove it in the first place. FedEx is one of my other favorite shorts, and we are at an extreme standard deviation reading on this at a reference top. Okay, the indicators are overbought. Your MACD is not really giving you much of a signal yet, but this is one that you could probably sell out of the money calls on this one and be fairly safe this week since I have a downward bias. So that's one you may want to keep on your radar. Dollar General is another one. You got a very high read on your standard deviation. Your indicators look like they're rolling over here. Yeah, so this is another one you could probably sell out of the money calls on and reap some benefit because it looks like we're already rejecting the 8 SMA, and so getting a roll would not. I'm not saying we're going to roll over, but if you can just plan uh, that it's not going to go any higher, uh, that's probably a better trade than actually betting on something having a massive sell-off this week. Boeing here, I took some profit on this last week, but I might get back in it again. It managed to hold the 8 SMA as of Friday there. I got out right near the bottoms Friday and capped in some short-term option profit. But your RSI is rolling over, but your MACD is still in a pretty good bullish. I mean, you got a pretty good spread on that MACD. So I was going to hopefully see if we got another pop or so on this and then try to re-enter this. But this is one you want to keep on your radar. Your standard deviation really is not topping out here. I prefer to take a swing short on Bank of America or on Boeing if it was topping. But at any rate, this is one you may want to put on your radar if it sets up for you. Anthem looks like it's coming off of a double top here, and it tried to break out, and it looks like it got rejected. And now we are clearly we have broken away again from that 8 SMA. So this one here might be a good swing short setting up here. So I just want you to have that on your radar here. Now your RSI has come down quite a bit already, and you're just now finally getting your cross on your MACD. So your indicators are not matching up to give you a really good indication. So just keep this one in mind. I wouldn't be selling credit on this. I would be thinking of doing a directional trade on this for, a few weeks out. Now Boston Properties here, we're getting an extremely elevated level here on the standard deviation, suggesting it's overbought, or it's an overbought move. Your stochastics looks like it's trying to signal lower. Your RSI is coming down off of extreme read, and your MACD is rolling over, and it's starting to pinch. So this one here, and we have broken our 8 SMA. Okay, so this one here might be a topping pattern for this one here. Given the relative reads here and stuff, I would be comfortable with selling out of the money call spreads on this one. So, but keep in mind, we do have a Lennar, I think, reporting this week. It's a home builder. So, but do keep in mind that Boston Properties is a REIT and everything, but I do see some extreme weakness in financials over the next month. So just keep that in mind. Now this one here, it popped up on on earnings, okay, and we got an extremely overread signal on our standard deviation, like it's a topping formation. So this one here might be a good one to consider selling call spreads against, if you can get them right, get them for the right price, in my opinion. Mead Johnson here, we got an extremely high read on your uh, standard deviation, with your other indicators also showing extremely high reads. And so far, it's been holding this 8 SMA, and it's hugging it on the backside right now, but it looks like it's starting to weaken quite a bit here. So this is another one you may want to think about selling some out of like 85 call spreads, and taking some profit here if you can get some, and think and hope that it'll fade back lower, because it's got a nice little gap to fill underneath here. Okay, post the dividend. So it's not post earnings, that's post dividend. So that one there, this one here really looks like a pretty good short potential. This one here obviously had some sort of news come out, so you guys probably need to research it better. And we got a nice little gap here based on some sort of news, maybe some sort of buyout or takeover offer. But it came up in my scans, and I did want to share it because we have an abnormally high standard deviation on this one here. So, and we're coming back into that 10 SMA, or the 8 SMA. So keep that one in mind. See if that's a buyout or something, if you do some research on that. Now, if it wasn't a buyout, if it was just some sort of news, you guys might want to sell some call spreads against this, because this is an extremely overbought situation. Okay? That's all I have for this weekend. I'll try to keep it around 15 minutes. But at any rate, I do expect, I'm thinking we're going to have a weak week ahead. So that's my bias going in. So I hope you guys all be careful if you're trying to take any long trades this week, in my opinion. Okay, that's all I got to say. Thanks a lot, and be sure and leave comments at the bottom of the YouTube thing, or like it Hit the like button if you like my video. Thanks.